I would have been fine.
I did not know where a Jean Grey example was going to work into this.
It's working right now. X-Men, by the way, people.
Grey,
X-Men.
Telepath.
Come on.
See,
it's Professor X. I mean, however you resonate with telepaths. That's. But I
didn't realize that could be such a relevant lesson.
Superpowers, you don't always have to eat. They will show up. Doesn't mean you got to use them. You know, so I know I need to do this. I now need to make the correction to my own life to be able to lean into that. Like you said, to lean into it, not ignore it. You know, I'm sure that everybody has things that they need to do. Welcome to episode 3 of the Foureva Podcast, where we talk about business, we talk about personal life, but we also talk about things that can get you motivated and some tips and tricks when it comes to navigating this thing we call life.
Life and business. We need a Foureva tagline. There's got to be a good forever in there. Things you're going to need forever.
Things you're going to need forever. We'll work on that. Next time. In this episode, we're going to be talking about trusting your gut. By the way, we have Randy Wilinski.
He's back again. How do you keep booking this guy?
He's still here. Speaker, trainer, helps here at Relatable Marketing.
Project Assassin.
Foureva Productions. Project Assassin. He's here to give us some of that insight, some of that knowledge, drop some gems. So trusting your gut. Randy, give me a moment where you had that trusting your gut actually ended up in the right situation, and then give me a quick one on where it ended up in the wrong situation.
Way to ping it over to me right away. Everybody has that gut feeling. They've even called it like your second brain for some actual medical reasons. Your gut and that feeling you get is all the perceptions that you are bringing in, that are coming into your senses that you aren't perceiving right away. So perceptions you're not perceiving. They're all the things that are coming to you, all the little cues that didn't quite tell you, that's why you shouldn't do it. But it just gives you that little feeling, right? And that's why it's in your gut. You get that little and you had that feeling, you're like, I should have known better. Or, I should have trusted my gut. My gut, it made me feel something, and I just went against it. It made that knot up. It twisted. So that's your gut. Now, a specific instance.
Something that, you trusted that gut, and the results were positive.
Right. So a lot of times that ends up being relationships. And so I will think of one, but I think of a lot of times you get a feeling about another person. Even when you're going to invest, if we go to business, it's like you talk to a salesman, you talk to somebody who wants to sell you a product, and what vibe are they giving off to? Are they giving you that they're desperate for someone to buy? Are they giving you that fake businessman type thing where you don't know that you can trust them? Because I'll tell you one time, that's a good example. I remember this guy, and he was using every trick under the book to. It was one of those like, hey, give us a call, and we'll come and clean your floors with the vacuum. And he was probably a nice enough guy, but every trick in the book, in retrospect, it was like, I'm trying to win this I've got to take my daughter. I'm a single father. I got to take my daughter to this thing. And if I get it, and then he's calling his boss. Yeah, I'm just here with Randy. And yeah, he's real excited, but and it's like every sales trick in the book was being used on me to the point where it went back and forth to the point where I tried to like negotiate and think I was all smooth with whatever they wanted, like $2,400. I brought it down. And then in my mind, I was like, well, I can afford this, whatever it was half of that or something. And I'm just like, fine, let's do it. He's all excited. And it was way expensive. And they're nice vacuums, super expensive. And I look up like Google, and 5 minutes later, I'm like, how much do they actually pay for these? Yeah. It was half of whatever I paid.
Oh, God.
No. And I just got caught all up in the moment. But my gut told me, you don't really need this. And even if you do, you don't got to make the decision right now. And this guy is trying to sell you. But it was like, I did have that other feeling like, well, I want to help this guy out.
So this is a negative story. This turned into, we were looking for a positive and it turned into a negative. So you actually forked over double the cash.
I forked out double of what maybe they pay. And everybody's got to make their markup. A salesman isn't
because
selling
you didn't trust your gut.
Yeah.
That's why.
I mean, and I didn't need it. I have all
When did
hardwood
you know,
floors.
though?
I had
When
all
did you
hardwood
know?
floors. Why, God on earth, do I need a Kirby vacuum cleaner?
Because you needed it.
I don't even have carpet in my That's the worst.
That's the worst.
But it was like I was making really good money at the time. This was back in the day. And I was like, well, how long is it going to take me to make this amount of money? I'm like, I'm going to have this. It was like, I should have known to just put the brakes on it. But I was
But when
young
did you know? When did that gut feeling was in the, and I think for
even
the viewers,
even during it,
was it the beginning? Was it
I
in
shouldn't-
the middle of it? Was it at the end before you signed
No, it
the
was in
dotted
the
line
middle.
and handed over your credit card?
It was more in the middle. It was like, I shouldn't be sucked in by this. I feel like I know what's going on here. And then it's not the worst decision I've ever made, but it stands out with me of like, you know better than that.
Right.
You know better than that. And you got that feeling like this guy is going to say anything to make this happen. Like,
Yeah.
but I still went with it anyway. So that's the thing. You got to trust your gut. Now, a time it's been positive. I got one up for that too. I hired somebody one time, and by the way that they interviewed, by their external, by some of their stuff, it kind of all told me, why would you hire this person? Why would you? Do you want to say, is it me?
I'm like, was it me?
No, it was someone
Well, he
else.
didn't hire me.
No.
I walked through the door.
That's
No interview.
yeah, that's right. You snuck in the door right after I snuck in the door.
Yeah, I snuck in. Right through the back door, started working.
But what it was is I got a good feeling about them as a person, even though they didn't interview well, even though they didn't present very well. It was like, these pieces that were here about their resume were good. These other pieces didn't make sense, but it was like, they don't seem consequential, but these ones seem like if they can do that and this, and they're willing to put in this effort that they're saying, then yeah, I'll go ahead and let's give it a go. And then it turned out even better than I experienced. And maybe they could have changed a few things and I would have said it's not worth the risk, but I said it's low risk. I've got a good feeling about this person as a person, and provided all those, like this should be a good fit. And it was better than versus, and I've gotten duped before on the other end of that. You hire someone and it doesn't matter how good you are. Sometimes people are going to hit all the right buttons and not deliver on them. I mean, that just happens. But the more you're in tune with your logic and your gut, I think that's the winning combination.
Ooh, so let's talk about that real quick, because I feel like that's a conflicting statement.
Oh, yeah?
Logic and gut don't always equal good results.
So you're saying the gut is like overrides the logic.
Sometimes gut overrides logic.
Yeah, I could see that.
Where it's just like, it's just that thing. It's just that, like for me, my intuition is my superpower. I can see it, and just know I should be going in this direction. Every single time I don't trust that intuition or that gut feeling, that's when bad things happen. And I just have a good sense of just knowing, like, should I go in this direction? Should I trust this person? Is this the right move? But sometimes that's not always the logical thing to do.
Right.
There's times when, like, for instance, like even with business, like I will have it in my gut, that gut feeling saying that this is going to happen. So now I'm going to make this big purchase to prepare for it when it's not locked in yet.
And logically, I probably shouldn't, but I know this is going to happen.
Probably shouldn't, especially cash flow and how things are. Maybe I should wait, or do I just have that gut feeling to say, I'm going to prepare for this just in case, good feeling that it's going to happen.
So if you had like logically on paper, if you just wrote out all the reasons, it would have been really good, but your gut still said,
Well, this was reverse. But yeah, if all on paper looked good and my gut said no, then that means it's a no.
Yeah.
Like for instance, let me tell you
now.
let me tell you a quick story. So about, I would say 4 years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, I got duped. So a lady sold a lot of people on an idea of a TV show. We're all on paper. This is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All on paper. Everybody around her. Everything seemed to be legit.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like it was going to be featured on Hulu, Netflix, on a local channel here, and everything was teed up where this is going to happen. The press forms looked great. All the documentation behind it. Everybody around her was excited. Yeah. And she was talking to big people. Logically, you would look at that and say, I got to make this move. Something in my soul told me
it was deeper than
in the beginning. Yeah, deeper than the gut, in my soul.
In a previous life, I knew this was wrong.
Told me, don't do it. The opportunity seems too good to be true. There's something fishy, and even it was a little bit on her demeanor, a little bit on her characteristics. She could sell to anybody.
Yeah,
but there were certain times where I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right, but everything was lined up where I'm like, if it does go though, I'm in a great position where I own a piece, a percentage of what the revenue would be, where I could then be featured on all these big platforms and all this stuff happens. And logically, it all made sense. In my gut, though, early, I would say after probably the third meeting with her, I knew I should not be doing this. But also I was at a point in my business where I'm like, I need something to kind of boost me up.
It's worth risking it.
Well, actually, I don't know if it was worth the risk. I would say now it is, just from the life lesson I learned from that, and some of the connections I made through that experience was worth it. But I may have done some other things not doing that
Education is
for
expensive.
Months and months of my life.
But and that's what you kind of touched on. What I remember is it was like she was slowly revealing how bad it could be, but it's like you're already kind of into it, and you're like, oh. And
I'm like, I might as well just ride this out. Yeah. Everybody else is. They're signed on the dotted line. She had the vice president of Walt Disney on there. She had the mayor of Atlanta. She had some actors, some baseball players were on there. She had.
Did that come to fruition, that part of it, though?
What?
Like those people actually showing up?
They showed up.
Yeah.
And I met all of them. I got all their contacts, every single one of them. Like, I know each one of those people with that brief encounter for a week that we met them all. It was crazy. All those people got sold. So it wasn't just me, so it made me feel a little better. But I knew that I shouldn't have been in that situation.
Yeah, and it almost seemed, if I remember the story, the backstory, it wasn't like she went in the intention to defraud a bunch of people. It was more like she had this really good part of this idea and selling, but then a big chaos part that just was going to inevitably lead to destruction.
Yes.
So it's not like she went in there to try
with
to
her as the nucleus.
Right, but she at least had the and that might have been what you're picking up on. If somebody has good intentions in that sense of what they want to do and what they believe in, and they sell you on the idea, something else was giving it, like, you're like, yeah, but this isn't the person that's going to do it.
This is not the person that's going to deliver this, because there's, man, I'm telling you, our brains, and some people have better ones than others, but our brains do raise those red flags up, and a lot of times we ignore them.
Is it your brain or your gut?
Well, your gut. I would say your gut sends it to your brain, and your brain says, "This logically, should I be doing this?" So that's a good point. That's a good point. So then it's a fight for. That's why I say I don't completely agree that formula equals success. I think that you got to measure both of them and make the right decision off of that. Sometimes your gut feeling might be like, "Man, this is what I got to do," and logically, it doesn't make sense, and you actually shouldn't do it because logic, actually won in that scenario. And it depends on if it's positive, if it's destructive. It's just like the you hear the stories with the actors, like, I'm moving to New York on $200 and I'm just gonna go for my dream. And it's like, that's the gut feeling, but logically you're not set up anywhere to even make that happen. So it's that constant fight. It's that constant fight between the two.
How do you know, though, that it is your gut telling you? Like, how can you differentiate? Because you might get all these reasons, get all these hopes, you see it, and then, like you said, you get duped, but you had this little thing. How do you know
Gut's
that
a force. Gut doesn't take time to process. Logic takes time to process. You're looking at something. Should I do it? Should I not? What are all the reasons here? Okay, what if I benefit? If I do go, if I don't go, what's the cost here? Okay, if I, there's more to process. Gut is instant. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's almost like that feeling that you walk into a place like, oh, shoot, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I should not be here. I need to leave now. That has happened multiple times to me back in the music days where I end up, I'm, trying to perform somewhere, or I'm going, to promote at a club or something, and I'm in a bad area, and I'm in that room, and the energy shifts, and I'm like, I gotta go. And there are times where there's actually 2 times where I've actually left and something happened that night. But I left like right before it happened. And that's just that feeling. Like, it's just instant. It's like, oh, gotta go. I don't know what's going to happen. I know I'm not going to be here.
Now, do you think that, because that almost sounds like even more mystical, right? Is that something in there you were perceiving, or is it like intuition? Is it literally an energy? Are you picking up on something that we as humans can't typically detect? Nobody can prove it exists, but if you felt it, it's real.
Yeah,
okay.
that one.
So you weren't even looking at it and going, that guy,
Logic tries to problem solve. I would have been looking at that scenario like, man, okay, well, if that happens, this happens, it's probably not going to happen. Maybe I can just stay here. What's the probability that this is actually going to happen? Maybe if I just stay over in this corner, I'll be fine. Let me just talk to this person, then I'll head out. I mean, you'll make up all these. You're trying to problem solve it. You're trying to process it all. Gut is like, it's just a rush. It is a force that just comes onto you where it's like it's a red flag that gets raised, or it's giving you a solution right away. It's instant. At least for me, that's what it is. And I love to hear from other people like what it is for you. But for me, it's instant. I should not be here. I should not be talking to this person. This person is bad for me in my life. I don't need to be in this situation anymore. Like there's just these moments where just, even when I met Marcus, like that was my logic. I'm tired. I don't want to do this. I just want to shut off and play video games and just I've had a crazy day and I don't want to do it. My gut told me just stay on the phone and then go over to my office and literally just post. That wasn't me moving. I just grabbed the phone and put it in the office and I was just sitting there watching like this. Just mindlessly, almost. Like listening, kind of not just there. Something told me to do it. I just trusted it and got on there. Lucky enough to be the last one picked. And this is on Instagram Live just for backstory. Yeah, so this is your first podcast listening.
You have to tell that story sometime.
But once again, it's just that gut feeling told me to do it. Logically, the problem solving is like, go to bed. Go to bed. Get refreshed for tomorrow. My gut feeling was like, just follow this and watch it. You've done it several times already. There's not going to be any difference, but just put up the phone and see what happens. Yeah. It's just that feeling, man.
Yeah. All right, so if somebody was wanting to lean into their gut, maybe they've been burned before, maybe they had that same feeling and they always override it or they don't trust it. What do you got to do to lean in to trusting your gut besides for just do it?
Besides for just do it? That's a good question because I know people have been burned many times before, especially if you talk about like relationships or business, friends, it's hard to trust it then because it's like, well, what's different this time? Why should I
think it's hard to know if it is your gut too, right? Like you might be thinking, oh, I should do this, and you're talking yourself all into it and you think it's a feeling, but really it's just you weren't using any logic. Yeah. And you just went on a bunch of faith with nothing proved and a hope and a dream.
Yeah, and a hope and a dream.
That's different than what you're talking about.
I'm talking about just that feeling you get when it's like it's telling you something instantly of what the current situation is. And I would say that even if you've been burned before, it probably wasn't your gut talking. It probably was like logic, problem solving, or you ignored something that your gut was telling you before, and you just overrided that, and then just I still feel like that's tough. That's a good question, because I've been burned before, and I think that I still just went back to like, man, but what was my intuition telling me though early, and why was I in that situation? It was telling me that I should have done this, and I just ignored it completely, or I just wanted better for that person or for that situation.
Yeah. So like a step might be to go out, do something, you get some feedback, and then you look back and go, how did I get to where whatever? And then you go, oh, remember when you thought that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is the feeling.
That's the feeling.
Wait, that was the gut feeling that at
That's
that
the
point
sign.
I shouldn't have known, but I did know.
And I feel like that's the trust the universe thing.
Well, and so I would think the universe is more of that, like that outside force that's working on you. The gut is like your inside. Mm-hmm. But I mean, not
it's
that
all,
your
it's
gut
all can be aligned.
You.
Yeah.
Your gut can guide you in the right direction.
Yeah. It's all aligning you to what your purpose is. And that's in all types of areas of your life and things that you want to be doing. You have to trust in it, because I want to hear a story where somebody trusted that gut feeling and it screwed you over.
Because we've probably never heard that.
I don't think I've ever heard of that story before.
Yeah.
And if you have a story, please share it, because I don't know.
That is interesting. Like no one ever uses it in that direction. It's always, I should have trusted my gut.
Yeah.
No one says, I trusted my gut and it all went to hell.
Yeah.
No one ever says that.
Think about you for a second. Have you ever trusted your gut and it failed you?
I think if anything, it's that I haven't tried to listen to that or lean into more of what it's saying. And so it was like it didn't get a vote at all. So you know what I'm saying? I didn't even pay it any attention. That
ignored
would be
it.
Of the problem. I mean, nothing's been so straight.
Like I got something in my gut right now telling me I need to work out. Otherwise, something bad's going to happen to my health. And I continually just ignore it.
Uh-oh.
This is a thing that I know that I need to make the time. Like I need to make the time to at least take care of myself, because something within me is just saying that, like, if you don't, you're not going to be prepared for something. And it sucks. I just keep ignoring it, and I need to lean into that more, because that's the one area of my life I would say that needs to
improve,
get a tweak. Yeah. I mean,
so that's interesting, because you're an advocate for it. You believe it's your superpower. You see it.
It's telling me right now,
and you're just like, nah, I'm still stuffing it down.
No, because we're all human. We're all human.
We all act like hypocrites.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's not that.
I hope it's not that. But I need to.
I gotta scare. You could be paralyzed if you don't.
Hey, the more you talk about it, it's gonna speak into existence, and then I'll take it that one step further and continue. I just feel like I always start and then I stop. For whatever reason, it could be financial, it could be just laziness, it could be excuses, it could be, I want to go do this because this is more important right now. That type of stuff.
Next podcast can be all about habits, because how that one habit can affect all other habits. And you think, well, I just don't have time for that.
Because I do have certain good habits for sure. But then, I think everybody has things they need to work on. No one's perfect.
Everybody knows that one also dominoes out. Mm-hmm. And it's like, but then it's like, yeah, but it's hard.
Yeah.
Right. But that's not the differentiating factor to whether you should do something or not. It's hard to do a lot of things.
That's a good next
Maybe
podcast.
for another podcast, if they'll let me come back.
Yeah, well, you've probably been on this too much.
You got to find someone else that'll talk to you.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's turning into the Randy and Jamar show. It's not even the Foureva Podcast anymore.
It's just our feelings podcast.
Yeah, our feelings. We just talk about our
Forever
feelings. Hopefully you've learned something through this
trust
talk.
Your gut. Do what we say, not what we might be doing currently.
Right. I think it's what Mom said to me many times.
No, but you brought up a good point. The facts need to line up.
We're not saying that logic's bad. I mean, logic is great. You should analyze and problem solve and figure out if it's the right decision. But then there is, like, that gut thing has done so much good in the world as well.
Right.
You think about innovation. You think about how things are created. That is the reason. It's that gut feeling of something that doesn't make any sense. There's no logic to it, and they end up trying it, and they're succeeding in it because something told them to do that.
Right.
And it's an amazing thing. That's why you got to just try to balance the two, because if you're too heavy on either or of them, it's not a good thing for where you're trying to go. Something to think about. Something to chew on.
Trust your gut from now on.
Yeah, trust
If
your gut.
tells you to come back and watch another one of these podcasts.
Do it.
Trust it.
Watch it. Listen to it. Also, share.
And if anything tells you not to, that's your stupid logic brain.
That's
ruining
right.
the rest of your life.
Don't let it ruin you.
Don't let
Watch
it
the
ruin your
Foureva Podcast. Listen to the Foureva Podcast. It's going to help you. All right. Till the next episode, take care.
Bye.
Peace. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell for more amazing content that we're going to be putting out. And don't forget, you can change your circle to change your life.